we are going to make chunky granola. Granola can be adapted to whatever ingredients you currently have in your kitchen, so don't fret if you don't have what we put into ours. This is a very versatile recipe. We can add chocolate chips, we can add dry fruit, you can eat it with yogurt, it can be used as a snack, it can be used for breakfast, or it can even be used for supper if you get like me and some days you just get tired and don't feel like cooking. The first thing that we're going to do is have 6 cups of oats. So we use, and we actually picked these up at Costco. They were sprouted rolled oats, so they have no bio, no GMO, none of that nasty stuff that we don't want our kids eating. That's why we do all this at-home stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is get our 6 cups of oats, and we're going to bake them at 350 degrees for approximately 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. While we're waiting on the oats to bake, we want to go ahead and get our other ingredients ready. So it calls for butter, 2/3 cup of butter, 2/3 cup of honey, a little bit of vanilla. It also calls for nuts. It calls for pecans. I have used almonds because we buy our almonds in a bag, and let me show you what I mean by that. We buy them in a whole bag, and then we can just crunch up our own. We have this neat little blender that's called a NutriBullet, and we can put it in there and we just chunk them up, and they end up being just like this. So that works great because some of our girls have braces and they can't eat nuts like this, but they're still getting the wholesome goodness when we grind them up. We need 2/3 cups of melted butter. You can also use olive oil or whatever oil of your choice. I would suggest something that's healthy, so stay away from the coin and the soy and that sort of thing. I've used olive oil before, and it doesn't affect the taste. This is just extra butter, so that's what we're definitely going to use. Then we need 2/3 cup of honey. I've also found that if we do our oil before we do our honey will completely come out of our container that we're measuring from, and you don't have any remnants of it stuck inside the container. So you want to make sure you do that as well. Because once it starts to pour out, it all comes out and doesn't stick. We're also going to get all of our dry ingredients ready. I've already done that, but it consists of wheat germ, and we have powdered milk, and we have shredded coconut. You can do sweetened coconut or unsweetened. We do unsweetened. So we're waiting on our oats to bake for the 10 minutes. Then we're going to take them out and show you the rest of the steps. Our rolled oats has baked at 350 degrees for 10 minutes. So once they come out, we want to stir and make sure they're not stuck anywhere to the pan. And now we're going to put everything else on. The first thing we're going to add is our dry ingredients. This dry ingredients consist of wheat germ, some cinnamon, unsweetened coconut, and powdered milk. So we're going to sprinkle that across. We're also going to put our nuts on at this time that we have ground, so they look like a powder. There is a couple chunks in there that's a bit bigger. And then we're going to mix this up. Once we have our dry ingredients mixed in, we're going to pour our wet ingredients, which is honey, butter. You can use whatever oil you want. And it also has some vanilla in it, So we're going to stir all this until it's well coated with our wet ingredients. After we have all the dry ingredients incorporated to the wet ingredients, you can tell that it's a little wet. There's some places like here that's dry. We just want to make sure that it's mixed up and not sticking to the plate. We are going to return this to the oven for 10 to 15 minutes, and we are going to bake it at 350 degrees. But we're not going to leave it in there 100% of the time without checking it. Every 5 minutes, we need to open the oven, pull it out, and we need to stir it. As with any cereal or cracker that we bake, we need to put it in the center of our oven. So if your racks aren't there, you need to move that. And we're going to time it, and then in 5 minutes, we're going to stir it. And sometimes it doesn't take the whole 15 minutes. Each oven is different, honestly. They all bake different or a hotter temperature. So we just need to keep a close eye. We don't want to scorch the bottom. It's been 5 minutes, so we're going to take this out of the oven. And we're going to stir. Remember, we need to leave it bake for 10 to 15 minutes and stir every 5 minutes. To do that, we're just going to bring it up and flip it over. Anything that wasn't wet from the dry ingredients, we're going to try to get that incorporated at this time. As you can see, we're starting to get some brown on the bottom, and that's what we want. We want some crunchiness, but we don't want it burnt. So we need to try to stir everywhere just to move it around. Then we're going to put it back into the oven for another 5 minutes. Once you have it stirred, you want to level it back out over your sheet that you're baking it on so you don't have any humps in the middle, because we want it to bake as evenly as possible. We're going to return it back to the oven. Our granola has baked the entire 15 minutes. This is our last time of taking it out. We're going to let it cool a little bit on the plate before we put it in the container. This granola is so versatile. You can add chocolate chips now if you want to. We have done that before. We usually wait 7 to 10 minutes so they don't melt and make a big mess, but you still want them to be able to be incorporated into the granola. You can also add dried bananas. We've added dried raspberries, dried blueberries. You can eat this with yogurt, or you can just eat it plain, or you can add it to some milk. Either way, this is a healthy snack. Thanks for watching. We hope that you learned something, and we hope that you subscribe to our channel. Thank you for helping us make America healthy again.